Hey again, guys. Do you know what I like to do when I'm getting a little philosophical? I like to look at some baseball cards. All right, I'm wearing my outfit here in honor of Liam, Junior Baseball Fanatic 12. He calls me Sensei. And today, I'd like to be your Sensei. And I'd like to talk about how to amass a fantastic collection. You know, I'm reminded of the old tortoise and the hare. And collecting is a very long process. Some of us, I think, lost sight of that during the COVID boom, where we're all trying to amass incredible collections overnight. And that's just not possible to do. You can own a bunch of great cards quickly, there's no doubt about it. But to amass a fantastic and extensive card collection takes a long time, because there are lots of scarce cards, there are lots of rare cards. If you're a modern collector, there's always new product coming out. It's hard to amass very many modern great cards just by pulling them from packs. So it's a process. You know, there's collecting, which is an action, which is ongoing. And then there's a collection, which is static. Collecting is dynamic. A collection is static. You have lots of people who have tens of thousands of cards still in boxes in their garage from 20, 30 years ago. They have a collection, but they're not collecting. To amass a fantastic card collection takes a lot of time. And when you look at the guys that have the most incredible collections, you will see that they started a long time ago and they collected for many, many years. In some cases, they're second generation collectors. You know, they picked up where their fathers left off. They collected together or inherited. And so the sooner you start collecting, the better your collection's going to be, because it takes a lot of time. You know, I started when I was a very little kid, and a lot of the cards I have, I wouldn't want to pay the money for it today. Now, in order to get the most out of your collecting, is you have to be true to yourself. You got to find the inner you. If you're going to try to keep up with other people, if you're going to try to do what the hobby says you should do, you know, collecting can be stressful and not as much fun. If you like to collect autographs, then collect autographs. If you like to collect Pittsburgh Pirates like me, then collect Pittsburgh Pirates like me. You should do what makes you happy, because fads come and go in the hobby, right? Now I'm going to get into some specific strategies on how you can amass a card collection, even if you don't have a whole lot of money. And that's how I built mine. I built it from the ground up, starting with packs, going to flea markets, going on eBay, going to card shows, going to card shops, and finding those beautiful gems that, you know, might mean something to me, might not mean something to someone else. You see, I kind of marched my own drummer, always have. You know, I often say, with everything that's happened in the hobby over the last few years, I really miss just collecting in obscurity sometimes, aside from all the relationships that I have made on here. Because I just did what I wanted to do. And, you know, I would be influenced a little bit here and there by maybe some magazines and maybe talking to dealers or other collectors. at a show or a shop or something like that. But for the most part, I researched cards on my own. And I would read the magazines. I would read the standard catalog of baseball cards. But I developed, my own interests, and I bought what I liked. And, when I was growing up, my dad used to rave about how great of a pitcher Bob Veal was and how fast he was. So when I'd see Bob Veal cards, I'd gobble them up. Now in the modern hobby, where everybody's worried about how much cards are worth, not too many people are going to buy Bob Veal cards. I know some of you do. I've seen them. But my point is that I collect what's important to me. And I have fallen in where, into that, where what maybe is important to the hobby, I get a little wrapped up in. For instance, I don't care what other people say is a rookie card. If a hostess card is from a player's rookie season, that hostess card to me is a rookie card. And I'm happier that way. When you get wrapped up in negativity, keeping up with the Joneses and anything in life, it keeps you from having it, right? Let's take money as an example. I'm sure all of you know people, and some of you may be these people, where no matter what money they get, it's gone immediately. Like there's something that prevents them from obtaining money. And they're always struggling. And most of the time, I think you will find that it is because, a lot of people view money as evil, as bad. We have sayings like, money is the root of all evil. We link money with greed together. You cannot have a disdain for money, or a disdain for people who have money, or a jealousy for people who have money. You cannot have that and have money. You are viewing it as negative, so you're not going to have it. There are certain people that have constant little ailments with health. And the other thing is, you can't do things scared. You can't live life scared. You are actually attracting what you fear. Can you imagine having one of the greatest hitters of all time being afraid of the baseball? Can you imagine being a phenomenal goalie and being afraid of the puck? Can you imagine being a phenomenal quarterback and having a fear of getting sacked all the time? You have to have freedom. You have to feel free in order to attract these things, in order to play your best, in order to be your best. See, I've never been one that views having a lot of money as just so I could pop some bottles, so I can impress people, so I could buy whatever I want. I've always been more about money for freedom. Freedom. That's what money provides. Because if you have a job you hate and you're strapped to it and you're living paycheck to paycheck, that's not freedom. You can't walk away from that job. And that's what money provides. It provides freedom. And I think we make our best life choices, our best decisions when we feel free. And we're not afraid all the time. And I come down on the modern hobby and grading and trimming and the fact that we can't trust anything anymore for this particular reason. We collect fearfully. Every time you buy something, you are expecting to get scammed. You are expecting it to be altered. You are expecting it to be trimmed. I don't live my life that way. If something happens here or there, so be it. But if you want to amass an incredible collection, a collection you're proud of, a collection that makes you happy, you got to be free. You got to be free. Now I want to tell you one of the ways to do that is not to be so paranoid about raw cards. Because if you're on a budget, let me tell you something. People pay more now for a PSA 2 than they do for a sharp raw one. I've actually heard collectors say they won't pay anything more than a PSA 1 price for a raw card. Just wanted to show you guys some baseball cards. I bought this raw. $30 with 2 other cards, including a 5.5 Jim Cott. I bought this raw. This was eBay. That was Facebook. Got that raw. Bought that raw. Bought that raw. Bought that raw. Bought that raw. Now I don't grade a whole lot, so bought this raw back in the day. 7. Bought this raw. 7. Bought this raw. 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 Now, the National is coming up, and I want to give you a strategy I learned years ago. And I would always do it because I never used to go to the National. I never knew anybody. It was always a dream of mine, but I just never went. I was truly, and this is another good example of how fear keeps you from doing things. I was always afraid to go to the National because, maybe I didn't, there's no amount of money I could take to the National where I would feel confident. I feel comfortable, right? So I was always afraid to go because I would be like a kid in a candy store and I would probably be out of my money in the first 5 minutes. And, I was afraid of all the cards there that I wouldn't be able to buy or that I wouldn't be willing to buy. And it's my fear that kept me from going, really. That may sound silly, but that's the truth. I'm just being honest. So one of the strategies I used to use, and probably still do, is when I'm not there, is around the National, during the National, and right after the National. All kind of deals to be had on eBay. Because what I found is all the big collectors and the ones willing to spend a lot of money are at the National. And on eBay, there's a lot of listings that just get lost. Leading up to the National, same thing, because everybody's saving their money for the National and they don't want to make those big purchases quite yet. Then right after the National, a lot of the vendors, a lot of the dealers, they had built up some inventory. Now they want to dump it. Man, I've gotten some great deals on lots of cards. Like they would sell them in the lots, just trying to move inventory that they didn't sell during the National. So that is a really great strategy. Of course, it only happens once a year. The other time I find the best deals on eBay is around Christmas time. People are saving up to buy gifts for their children or whatever. A lot of people are a little bit strapped at that time, and you don't see the activity and the bids that you do other times. So that's another strategy. One thing I used to do when I wasn't willing to spend a lot of money or didn't have a lot of money to spend is I would buy lots, and I would keep the cards that I needed. Like if I was working on a set, I'd just buy a big lot of them, and then I'd sell off the ones that I had doubles of. Or I would buy, if I wanted, rookie cards. I did this with Mike Trout back in the day. I would buy a lot of them, and then later on sell them. And they weren't selling for a lot of money when I did this, but I would, buy 2 of them, sell 1, and break even. I basically get the card for free. The other thing I would do, and you could do this, and it doesn't just have to be cards. If you want to sell things, Go into your garage. Does your wife have old purses that are name brand? Whatever you can find. I used to gather up all the old stuff I didn't want anymore, old purses, all kind of things. Old gifts you got that were collectibles that you don't want, not just in the hobby, but anything. And sell that, put that into my PayPal, and then go buy me some vintage cards. You could do things along those lines. But you have to remember that amassing a big collection takes time. And, generally speaking, the tortoise is going to win the race over the hare, because you're finding these little gems and these rare and obscure cards and these cards that have been on your want list for 5-10 years, whatever it is. And it takes time to find those, to find the right one, and to amass these things. So don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Don't try to keep up with what's hot in the hobby. Do your own thing. Enjoy your collection. Enjoy it. I think we all get, and myself included, have gotten too wrapped up in the negativity. Don't be hating and expect good things to come into your life. It doesn't work that way. You got to put positive vibes out there. You got to view things as positive. Don't collect scared. Don't do it. There are fads that come and go in the hobby. I just wanted to share a few examples, because in my collecting in obscurity and afterwards, I was always drawn to international issues and obscure cards. Number one, they appealed to me. Number two, I was, I studied international business in college, and I used to travel around the world and do seminars and get trinkets from around the world. And I was always fascinated with other cultures and travel. And I was in the travel industry. So I always wanted to collect things from around the globe if I could, and one of the players that was popular just about everywhere was Babe Ruth. And back in the day, the Gaudis might have been out of reach, and some of his, big high-priced cards. But cards like this were very attainable, because nobody seemed to want overseas Babe Ruth issues. And, cards like this from the New York Journal, and oversized cards like this that nobody knew what the heck they were. And turns out they're very, very rare. And things like this that you could find around Pittsburgh, all over the place, but these are very scarce. And, people aren't looking at those cards. It's like I always say, everybody just shows and wants the same 100 cards over and over again. There's so much more to card collecting, and especially to vintage card collecting, than just those top 100 cards. It is near infinite, which makes collecting so fantastic. That's what's so fun about it, is going out there and finding new things. I find new card sets almost weekly that I didn't know existed. I get texts from fellow YouTubers asking me if I've seen something, or introducing it to me, or I stumble on something in, Beckett Vintage, or I see somebody show something on YouTube, or I just find it on eBay by accident. It's just a near infinite world out there. And man, if you want to have a lot of fun collecting, collect what you want. It doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. It doesn't matter if I want a 1975 Robin Yount Hostess and I prize it because I think it's a rookie card and nobody else does. It doesn't matter if I don't care about rookie cards. I saw 3D's 80 Kid did a video where he buys all the other cards but the rookie cards. That was always my strategy too. And that's how I ended up with a near set from just about every year. And I filled in the rookie cards later when that was like the last card I needed and when I had more money to buy it. And I ended up with, I have every rookie card now from 1954 on, except for the Pete Rose floating head, because it's just not a card I ever was, into. Probably have to break down and get that at some point to complete my 63 top set. But that was one of my strategies, because I could have all the other Hank Aaron cards for about the price of his rookie. And I would always buy the cards that I liked the best. And if I didn't like the rookie card, it went on the back burner. Now, if you're a set collector, at some point, I guess you have to get those. But nobody says you have to have all these big rookie cards. Many collectors only collect those rookie cards and want nothing else. If that makes you happy, do it. Some people only collect Hall of Famers and ignore all the other fabulous players. That makes you happy, do it. Yeah, I'm a little different than a lot of collectors. I find that I have different views. My views vary a lot. You know, I haven't not allowed PSA to dominate my collecting pleasure. I think it brings a lot of negativity, because anything graded on a 1 to 10 scale less than a 10 is a disappointment, and it's negative. And I just don't like to bring negativity into my world that way. And I certainly am not going to let other people who probably know less about cards than me dictate that to me. No way. No way. I've fallen into that. I've gotten down. I've considered stepping away. Why? Because I allowed other people to affect me. If you see somebody that has a card and you feel a little jealousy, feel happy for them. Feel happy for them. If you get a little bit of money, a little extra money, or a card gifted to you, say thank you. Thank you. Thank God. You'll get more of it. All right, that's my philosophy for today. As always, thanks for watching.